This is the Rise to Triumph podcast, and my name is Crystal Torres. I am on a mission to discover the key components of success of today's top TV and film industry professionals. If you are interested in becoming a working TV film professional or intrigued by the journey and are looking to surround yourself with the best industry minds, then this, my friends, is for you. Each week, we will have a chance to listen in on conversations that I have with top industry professionals and explore the behind the scenes of what it truly takes to rise to triumph. It's a Rise to Triumph podcast, and it is Crystal Torres. Hello there. Today, we're going to speak with Jossara Jinaro. But first, if you missed the last episode, we spoke with David Castaneda, and he was on set of Soldado, the sequel that will be coming up of Sicaro, Benicio del Toro's film. And we talk a lot about just essence, embracing the audition room, and just being on set and all that amazing stuff. So catch that after listening to this episode with Jossara. Jossara talks to us. We talk about lifestyle, balancing life, and having a career as an actor. Oh yeah. As an actor, it's very hard sometimes to balance just being a person that has, as like Jossara, she has a child, a young child. She has a husband, and she also has an acting career that she is maintaining. She has been seen in movies like World Trade Center and Collateral Damage, and she's also recurred on Hulu's original series, East Los High. She's also been in a bunch of plays, commercials, and all of that, good working actor stuff. So she talks to us about longevity and balancing life and career, and she talks to us about where she came from and how she's gotten to where she is now. So it's a really good podcast about just balancing lifestyle and a career. And I think I needed some of that in my life. So thank you, Jossara, for speaking with us and being vulnerable. And there goes my phone. All right. Bye, guys. Enjoy. Wanted to ask you, first and foremost, what's been the longevity that has taken you through your careers?
Well, I was remembering earlier about Lupe Ontiveros, this wonderful actress. She's been around, or was around for a long time. She passed. And I was just out of school. I had just moved out here, and I was at a mixer. They were giving her an award, and they asked her, and they said, what does it really take? Because, she was already in like 30 years. And she said, perseverance. And so I was like, oh, okay, perseverance. It's going to take like 6 months. And then years later, I realized that she's right. It takes perseverance. And not so much in the logical sense of it as far as like, okay, yeah, you get told no and you just keep going in, and you get told no and you just keep go at it, and then you be told no and then you just keep fighting for it. That is part of it. But I think the perseverance that has really been a key for me to make it through the long haul is the perseverance with myself inside. And, you have this dream, and you build a shrine to it, you put a white light around it, and you protect it no matter what, even from yourself. Because there are times when you're so beat up and you're just like, I can't put myself through this anymore. I'm just going to go through the motions and just show up to the audition, and I'm persevering. But you're not really persevering because you're leaving your heart and your soul out of it. And so you have to just really take care of you, and know that at the at the heart of it, it's your dream. And so you just keep persevering with that. And whatever happens on the outside happens on the outside, and you just leave it separate. So, that's what's helped me with the longevity of it, you know.
Now, tell me, like, because you say, it's like you had to take care of within. So what are the, I guess, tools or like things that you have done for yourself to take care of yourself? I mean, because I've been out here for 3 years and I already can sense that, like I come out here, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show this town. And then, you're just like, oh, I guess I'll go. It's like you're pushing yourself to go to the audition, but I totally get what you're saying. It's just like, then it's just like, you don't feel like you were so present in that audition, and then I'm beating myself after. So it's like, how do you take care of yourself to make sure that that inner self, like you said, that it stays protected and you're can keep going?
The main thing is just inspiration. You have to re-inspire and
Mm-hmm.
reignite that pilot light, and whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm gonna go on a hike and I'm gonna be on
Yeah.
top of a mountain looking down and reminding myself, what it is that I'm deeply connected to in my heart that I want. And so you
Yeah.
just look at this view and you say, I can do this, and you re-inspire yourself. A lot of times too, I will listen to somebody who's inspirational. I love Les Brown. I think he's awesome. Once in a while, I'll just,
Uh-huh.
if I have a really bad, or I should say, he calls it, don't say having a bad day, say having a character building day.
I love that. I'm
So when
using
I'm
that.
having a character building day, where, there's a role I really wanted and I get the call and they're like, no, uh, I put on his, YouTube video and I listen to it in the car on the way
Yeah,
home.
I've never heard of him. I'm gonna
And,
check him out.
there's one that's really
Yeah.
great. It's called It's Possible. Um, and he just talks
Mm.
about that. Your dream is possible. It is possible. Anything is
Mm.
possible as long as you just keep yourself. So I listen to him and he inspires me. Sometimes,
Yeah.
I'll go to like my favorite actress in my favorite movie with her in it and I'll just watch her and I'll just be re-inspired that way. Um,
Mm-hmm. Who's your go-to person that gives
I
you that
love Barbara
fuel?
Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck,
Okay.
I have her whole collection still on DVD. I have to figure out how to get it on my computer so I don't. So, I'll just
Maybe you
have
could
like,
download
a
it.
Barbara Stanwyck binging day. And I just watch her,
Yeah.
watch film after film after
Uh-huh.
film in black and white and just watch her act and
Yeah.
just be like, just get re-inspired and watch her act and go, yeah, that's it. That's why I got into this.
Mm-hmm.
I love her and I love, all the actresses from the 40s are my favorites. Her, and then of course,
Yeah.
you have your Eva Gardner and you have your, um, Rita, Hayworth. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love going back and watching these actresses and then I get re-inspired all over again.
Yeah. What's seeing them in their films like inspires you?
Let's see. So Barbara Stanwyck there's this one movie and, she's basically climbing her way up, so there's the metaphor of her climbing her way up in Hollywood or her climbing her way up in this movie. And so she gets hired in this, office building and you see her climbing her way up to the top. And when
Wow.
she gets to the top, she falls in love with the guy that owns the place. And and then she has to choose whether it's her ambition or her love for for this man. And and there's a beautiful
Mm.
scene where they're just on the rooftop and they're just sitting with each other and he's looking at her and he basically, says, I love you, I want to marry you. And she says, yeah, I always wanted a missus on my tombstone. you know, I just I really
It's
like
funny.
she was very brassy, and for her time she was way beyond her years as far as like what was kosher and what not to do and what to do in films. She was just very raw and very powerful as a woman. So she all her films, if you get a chance to see any of them, they're pretty inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I want to say, like, so you talk about the inside, right? So let's talk about, like, what's a day in the life of Josara?
Um, just any day.
Yeah. Yeah, let's
Well,
start there. Yeah, any day. What's the typical like day for
so
you?
my alarm clock goes off at 5:45, around 5:40, 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, and it sounds like this. Mama, mama, chiche, mama, chiche.
Oh.
That's 2-year-old asking for
Oh
me to go get
no.
his milk. So I get up and, he has
Oh.
his milk and he gets off going and, make sure that he has breakfast and all of that. If it's a day where I have to be on set, like for example, my husband was in Argentina for 10 days. So it was just, he and I. So I would get him dressed and
Yeah.
get his bag ready and, make sure that he's ready for our caretaker and then drive to the lot and, drive next to my trailer and go into actress mode. So then I just put on my headphones, listen to
Yeah.
music, get into the mode of, being in the character. And then I'm there shooting all day. Sometime during the day, like at lunchtime, I'll, FaceTime with my little one. And,
Mhm.
so say, hi, it's mommy, hi. Or I'll have his caretaker, send me some photos and then,
Yeah.
continue on my day, finish filming, get in my car, go pick him up, bring him home, give him dinner, we hang out, we color, get him ready for bed, which is a whole process.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh
so
my
once he's
god.
in bed, by 7:30, 8 o'clock, then I have 2, 3 hours to do my homework and look over my scripts or look over whatever I need to do for auditions the next day. So that's pretty much like a
Wow.
typical day.
Wow. How do you balance that? I just think about myself and I'm like, I'm just me trying to make it out here. And it's just like you have like another life that you're like trying to also like get him going. How does that balance work?
Actually my acting helped me a lot because in acting, I think the main thing
Mm,
for me, there's a lot of things that go into what you do for the work and how you get to the work. But the main thing at the end of the
yeah.
day, you just have to live in the moment, go moment to moment so that you're
Yeah.
there with your partner, you're there in the moment, what's happening, and you have to be present.
Mm,
Um, And so I
yes.
think that's the way, I kept looking for this. What is the balance? Do I need to spend these many hours doing this, these many hours doing that? How does it? And
Okay.
actually, it's all about just being in the moment. And when I'm with my son,
Yeah.
I'm there with him. And when you have a baby, a toddler, it's like there is no past or present, or a past future. It's like the
Yeah.
present is all that matters. I want to play with this toy at this
Yeah.
time right now. Um,
And that's it.
so yeah, most of it is, it's that you just have to be present. So when I'm with him, I'm with him. And when I'm with my sides, I'm with my sides. And when I'm on set, I'm on set. And when I'm in front, acting, I'm acting and just really
Mhm.
just be so much in the moment, so present in what you're doing so that you're not bombarding yourself with, oh my gosh, all of these things that I have to do later or all of these things that I didn't do before. You just sort of live moment to
Yeah.
moment. And I usually recount. I'm those type of people that I'll lay in bed and as I'm about to fall asleep, my little brain's like a little computer and I'll go, do, 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 do. Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah, this needs to be taken care of. And then I'll just, write it down on my to-do list and then go to bed and then deal with it the next day.
Mm. That's good. Usually, like at night, my brain is a computer, and then I can't sleep until I do it. I'm like, gotta get it done
Yeah, and
now.
if you're
But
out of balance, the people around you let you know. Sometimes my husband will be like, "When are we having a date night?" Like, oh,
yeah. So then, how's
yeah.
that factor? Because not only are you, a mom, but you're a wife. Like, how's
Yeah,
that
and then
balance?
you just say, okay, well, let me see. Oh, I don't have rehearsal on Friday night. You want to do Friday night? Okay, let's call a sitter. And then we end up going. We put our son to bed, and she gets here, she
Yeah.
watches him while he sleeps. Then we go and see a movie and have dinner, and and sort of have nice conversation, and come home, and then we're good. So
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys just have that open communication to make sure that everyone's
right.
needs are being met. Yeah. Yeah. You got it. You got it going on. I wanted to ask you cuz you are no stranger to the theater. Now, how has working in theater have helped you maybe like on set, or is it completely different? What is that like for you?
It depends on the project. Like I just worked on Pure Genius in November, and
Uh-huh, which is a new show on
yes.
CBS?
And
Okay.
so I did 6 days on that show, and uh, it. Thank you. So it's
Congratulations.
pretty intense because the way
Mhm.
they shoot multicam, so they use three cameras, and you never know when they're
Oh,
gonna punch in for your close up or when they're gonna, do a two shot or whatever. So the way they shoot it is they shoot it from top to bottom, the whole scene all the way through, and so you have to be
got
present,
it.
100% of the time all the way through. Uh,
Yeah,
Other
yeah.
shows will shoot one camera, so then they're going to do the wide and they're going to come in for close-ups later. And so you sort of like save
Mhm.
your energy, and then, you sort of like know, okay, this is when I have to, you know, have my close-up. And so this is when I really have to be in this moment doing such and such. Or, oh, the camera's not on me right
Yeah.
now. It's on somebody else. So I can save a little bit of my tears. But, you know,
Yeah.
but that show didn't do that. That show shot from top to bottom, every scene, every take. Um,
And how
and there's
many takes
always a
were there
camera
about?
on you. So it depends. Some scenes there were like 5, 6 takes, and other scenes we only did 2 takes of a certain angle. Um,
Okay.
but if you come from theater, that's no big deal. You're used to doing that. You're used to
Yeah.
going on that roller coaster ride all the way through, and you don't get off the
Mhm.
roller coaster until you're done. So it's like
Yes.
almost doing like a mini play over and over and over and over and over again. Um,
Yeah.
so that muscle is
Yeah.
very strong if you come from theater. Uh, so that's like the
Mm,
most recent example that
definitely.
I can tell you that was really helpful.
Yeah. No, definitely. And another thing that I think for me personally that I find, I don't know, I guess when I first met you I was like so impressed by you because I just feel like you're so giving, of like your time, your energy, and I feel like you're very like you help other people with their projects. You're always like thinking of other people to plug them in if you know something that's going on. Where does that stem from?
You know, um, I don't know. It's just this thing. I just can't help myself. And my husband's like, "Will you stop it already?" Because all of a sudden it'd be like, "Oh, I have to do this and this and this." Well, for what? Oh, well,
Yeah.
my friend needs help with such and such. So I have to drive here and drive there. So,
Yeah.
I, you know, I, uh, I'm the only child of my mother and my father, but I grew up with my mother and stepfather, and I had 6 younger brothers and sisters. And between my
Mm.
next sister and myself, there was a 4.5 year gap. And so I always grew up being
Wow.
sort of like the third parent in the house. My parents both worked full time,
Mm.
and so they really relied on me to be like the big sister and take care of my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that was something that since I was little, it's just the way it was. I didn't just grab my lunch. I made everybody else's lunch and packed everybody's lunch for the day, gave it to each brother and
Mm,
sister, and we all walked out together and made sure everybody had their coats on. And then I put on my coat. And so I always had to be thinking of other people all the time growing up. Um, and so I
yeah.
think that's just where it comes from, and so I'm very, very perceptive, and it's just instinctual. And I just sort of have this gut instinct like, oh, this person needs help. And so, yeah, um, I think it's just what you learn and what you are, sort of, attracted to, um, you know,
Yeah.
like a magnet almost.
Like you kind of
Hello?
like lose yourself, or do you have a good balance on that?
Okay, I just lost the last thing you said.
Do you find yourself like losing yourself like when you're helping others, or do
I
you have a
don't
good
have a good
balance on
balance
that?
on it.
Oh no, Josada, we need to figure this
I
out.
don't. I don't. For me, I feel responsible, and so once I tell somebody I'm going to do this for you, I do it for them. And if I give my word, I like to come through on my word. And it's very, very painful for me when I have to say to somebody, "Oh, I can't do this," or "I can't come through for you." Because for me, it's like
Mhm.
saying that to my little brother or my little sister. Um, and so yeah,
Yeah.
it's a challenge. I have to be careful sometimes. I just have to shut my ears like la 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 la. But yeah,
Gotta like
and be a
focus on yourself. And then so you're
yes.
also a dancer, right? Like
I get
you
down on
get
the floor.
down on the flow.
Yes.
Yes, you do. So how did dance implement like help you like in acting?
Um,
Or did it? I don't
I've
know.
always, I've always loved to dance, and um, to me, it's such a like free form of expression. Like sometimes, if I get stuck on a role, I'll just listen to music and dance and to help me through to break through. Like if I can find it through dance, then I can find it through my acting. Um,
Oh. Yes, yes, using like movement as a
yes.
source to like open you
Uh-huh.
up. Mhm.
That's the main connection. There's times, when I'll have to do a role that she's a dancer and then I have to dance in the role. So that's like very like literal. But But
Yeah.
yeah, mostly is that it's just, if I get stuck in one art form, then I rely on the other one to just sort of help me break the wall or break through. Mhm.
Got it. Yeah, and do you find like that you maybe have had more opportunities because you dance and act as well, or I don't know. No.
Yes and no. I mean, I did go for it. I don't think that I would have done that film if I were not a dancer because that was a dance
Yes.
movie. Uh,
Yes. That was like a
I,
Latino step up.
And I'm very proud that they never used my double. Ever, 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 ever. And I had never really done hip hop because I come
Hey.
from classical training. I studied ballet and jazz and modern. And so that was, modern
Yeah.
dancing as far as like, hip hop and popping and locking and all of that. Of course, the choreographer choreographed around my
Yeah.
abilities, but I was able to like, you know, literally dance like 10 hours a day every day before we started shooting. And then I also worked with the
Wow.
choreographer privately, like 6 hours a day once we started the process, just so I could like be natural.
Wow. Was that one of your major like biggest films when you like starting? Like, you know?
Um, yes and no. I mean, I had already worked with Oliver Stone on World Trade Center, and I had already Collateral Damage with Andrew
Yeah.
Davis, and so I
Which
had
was
done some
huge.
really big films. And when Go For
Yeah.
It was, it was an independent film with a first time filmmaker, a lot of unknown cast members. Gina Rodriguez at the time, it was her very first gig out. Uh, so,
That's crazy.
most of the people in there were new. So in that respect, no.
Yeah.
Um, but it was
Yeah.
the biggest dance role that I had ever done on film. So that was exciting and that was
Mm.
fun.
Yeah. Now, so you said you went to Columbia
Mm-hmm.
College in Chicago? And so you studied musical theater there. So you already, like, before you got to college, you already knew, like, you were, passionate about the
Yes,
arts,
I did my
basically?
first play in Bogota. I think I was like 12 years old. And I think even in
Uh-huh.
school, I did a play when I was like 8 that I remember that I had to like memorize lines and the whole thing. So I was already really passionate about
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
acting and performing. And so, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I knew that, if I went to school, I was going to study the arts. And I wanted
Uh-huh.
to be an actress, but I also didn't want to give up my singing and dancing. And the only major that really made sense
Yeah.
was musical theater because it was an interdisciplinary major. So you took classes, voice classes with the voice majors, and dance classes with the dance majors, and acting classes with the acting majors. And so you almost were having like a triple
Mm.
bachelor, there were very
Yeah.
few quote unquote musical theater classes, which was like musical theater history and musical theater dance styles. I think maybe 5 classes was just the musical theater students. Everything else we did interdisciplinary. So if I was in a dance class, I was in there with just dance majors, so it really forced you to, keep up with them. Um, and I really wanted to be good at all three, Uh, and dancing, I never wanted to
Yeah.
give up because I loved it so much. Uh, but I always knew that
Mm.
acting, that I wanted to do film since I was a little girl. Yeah.
Okay. And why? Why did you know,
I
like,
saw Rita
film was the
Hayworth
thing?
in Gilda,
Oh,
and I was
okay.
like, ooh, I want to do that, you know?
How about your family? Did they support you throughout this whole
No,
process? How was that?
capital N, capital O, underline, highlight. Um, No, my parents were of the belief that yes, the arts were important to learn about and to, go to the opera. They used to take us when we were little to go see shows and things like that. But it was more like a
Oh,
cultural
that's
thing.
good.
It wasn't necessarily something you do for a career. So they were not very supportive
Yeah.
when I was like, but I want to be an actress. They were like, what? Um, so
Yeah.
no, they were not. They were not supportive.
And then so then so you they were in Chicago with you? Like, so were you like, or did
No,
you
my
stay at
family moved
school?
back to Columbia, my
Oh,
senior year
okay.
in high school. So
Oh, so you
yeah,
were
so
like
like at
all
16,
alone by yourself.
basically, I was on my own. Uh,
Wow. And that was because you were like, I'm
yes,
gonna
I
stay here and
really
pursue
wanted
my dream.
to, to be an artist. And so that summer I got a
Mm-hmm.
job singing and dancing at a theme park. Uh, and so they gave me room and
Yeah.
board. And so I was able to do that in the summer. The last part of my year in high school, I stayed with a friend of mine's parents and finished out high school. Uh, and then that summer, I got that job. And then after
Wow.
that, you're in college and you stay at the dorms. So
Yeah. And then was that hard because you were like here in the States and all your, at least your immediate family was all back
no.
in a
I mean,
different country?
in the beginning, I was so headstrong and so you know I'm taking over the world and so feisty and so fearless that it wasn't actually until way, 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 way
Mm-hmm.
later in my like, mid to late 20s that I started to freak out because I had been beat up for a good 10 years. And that's when I started to sort of miss my family. But in the beginning, no, in the
Mm.
beginning, I was like gung ho, like, I'm doing this. So I was really just putting one foot in front of the next,
Yeah.
and I was hungry and wanted to learn as much as I could and wanted to do as much as I could.
So then after you graduated, did you get a gig straight out in
well,
LA, or you moved to LA and you got a
before I
gig?
even graduated my senior year, a professor of mine recommended me to David Petrarca. David Petrarca is a very well-known director now. Most recently he's been working on Marco Polo, and he was an
Okay.
associate director at the Goodman Theater in Chicago, and he was going to be directing a show at the American Conservatory of Theater in San Francisco. And he was looking for an actress for Dark Rapture by Eric Overmyer. Eric Overmyer, mostly known recently for The Affair. He's a writer, but he's also a playwright. Um,
Mm,
so
yeah.
he um, recommended me my professor, and I went in and I auditioned and I got the role. So literally, like, I finished my last class on Friday, and then on Monday I was like on a plane to San Francisco to be in the show um, at a conservatory. I even missed my
Wow.
graduation. I didn't get to walk with my cap and gown. I was
Wow.
kind of bummed about that.
Oh, were you? I thought you were like, I don't care, I'm working.
so, so yeah, that was my first professional gig, and the agency where I auditioned was the Getty's agency, and Getty's at the time was pretty much like the biggest agency in town, and they had a sister
Mm,
agency in Los Angeles, and so they were like, "We want to rep you." Um, and
mm,
I came out for that next pilot season after I was done with the play. I moved out here, and
yeah.
I booked my first series, Viva Vegas, and so that's how it all
Viva
started.
Vegas. And that was what, a series regular role?
Yeah, it was a series regular. It was a half-hour comedy. We ended up doing like 26 episodes, and then we got canceled.
What network was it?
It was Columbia TriStar produced it, and they sold
Uh-huh.
it to Telemundo. hmm
Got it. So it was a Spanish
It
speaking
was. It
series?
was interesting because it was Columbia TriStar at the time owned Telemundo, and what they were doing was they were taking all of these old shows, Columbia TriStar shows, like One Day at a Time, and um, which became Solo en America. Then
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so they took these shows, they they brought in all these writers that they used to work. So for example, like on my show, we had directors from like Emmy Award directors, award-winning directors from the Golden Girls and from
Mm-hmm.
One Day at a Time and all of these super successful sitcoms. And
Wow.
so the script was on the left side, it was in English, so the director could direct us, and then on the right side was in Spanish. And
Mm.
so we would do the reading for the producers and the network every day. And we would do it obviously in Spanish, and they would follow along in English. Yeah.
Wow. Talk about
Yeah.
bilingual.
So the only thing that was in Spanish was literally the lines that were coming out of our mouths, because when we had to interact with the crew or with the directors or the producers, it was all in English.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. And the show was really successful. It was a lot of fun. I got to play a really fun character. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I met some really talented people on there, and yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. And then you said it ran for
We
how
did
many episodes?
26.
26. And then you said it was canceled?
It was canceled after that, yeah. So that's where I
Yeah.
met Carlos Portugal. Carlos Portugal was um, our EP, and he, ran the show. He was our showrunner. And,
Mm-hmm.
Carlos is one of the co-creators of Islos High. So, um,
Mm.
I was brought in, for that recurring role of Reina to play Maya's mom on the first season. So Carlos
Yeah.
already knew me from Viva Vegas, and so I came in and I read for Carlos and for the other producers and directors. I hadn't seen him in a really long time, and one of his writers, actually, Evangeline Ordaz, had just seen me in a play, Firehouse, and she read. recommended me to the
Wow.
show and brought me in. And then Carlos was like, "Oh my God, where have you been?" So, so that's right off.
Wow. Talk about like a full circle kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And it was great because, Carlos knew me as the role that I played on Viva Vegas. I played a showgirl. She was very sort of like innocent and, kooky and funny. And then of course Reina was total opposite to that. So it was cool.
She was a badass. I loved her. um yeah, it's interesting to me, right? Because it's like it shows me like that there's really an importance to really making sure to be good to all those around you, because I mean, who, like when you were playing, Viva Vegas when you're in your 20s, and then, like who would have thought then, like, years later you would, see Carlos again. It's just like how things kind of just come up, right?
Yeah, I think, you just, you whether you like it or not, you build a reputation for yourself, so
Mm,
you show up on time, you know your lines, you're prepared, you do a good job,
yeah.
you are good, you are open and accessible, and you work with other people, and you're fair, and you really show people the integrity that you have for the work and for those around you. And that's the main
Mhm.
reason why Carlos was like, "Oh yeah, I trust her, I know her." And then I had to go in and actually
Mm,
read and prove that I could do that role, and
yeah.
and so, but I think it really helped that he knew after working with me on the other show, oh, I can count on her. Now let's see if she can actually, do this other role, which is very different.
Well, talk to me about, do you have any like people that mentored you on your way up, or anyone that, you know, you confided in, and how that's helped you in your career?
Um, I've never had a mentor per se, but I have
Yeah.
had a lot of influence of
Mhm.
different people. And of course, there's your friends that cheerlead you and say, "Come on, you can do it. It's okay." And then,
Your Facebook friends are like,
yeah,
"We believe in you."
and friends that will be like, "Come on, let's just go and you know feel bad for a minute. Let's just go eat something really bad and like just get a massage and cry."
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
No, but you need that, right? You need to like
yeah.
take care of yourself.
So I'm very blessed in Los Angeles. I have made some really awesome friendships,
Mhm.
and I've had conversations with wonderful actresses and directors that have really inspired me. Um, and just off the top of my head, there's like Tina Lifford and Shirley Joe Finney and Camille Saviola. These women that have 20 years ahead of me, and they sort of
Yeah.
let me know that it's okay, and that I'm gonna get there and everything's gonna be fine. Um,
Yeah.
and then as far as the work, my biggest mentor was Milton Katselas. Um, Even though I had been acting for a long time and I had gone to school and I had proven myself professionally and all of that, by the time I got to his studio, it was like, starting all over again with the work,
Mm.
because I was very humbled by everybody around me. I mean, that studio, we met on Saturday mornings. It was like a little oasis away from Hollywood.
Yeah.
And there were wonderful people in there like James Cromwell and Giovanni Ribisi and Michael Pena and Doris Roberts, Larry
Wow.
Miller, um, just
A lot of
a
working
lot of
actors.
actors that, had been around for a long time and who had really made a name for themselves, mostly based on their work.
Mhm.
And so they trusted him and they were learning from him. And I came in, I was very young when I went in there. I think I was one of the youngest people in there.
Now, were you like recommended to the studio, or did you just hear about it and were able to just get in?
Well, what happened was I was working on Havoc, which is a movie with Anne Hathaway and Freddie
Okay.
Rodriguez, and I was playing Freddie Rodriguez's love interest in that. And Rick Pagano cast the movie, and then one of the producers, we were sitting there one day on set. It was myself, Rick, and John, the producer, and I was like, I need a place. I need a place where I can work out, and so they were like, oh, you have to go to Milton. They both had studied with Milton, and they were both like, you have to go to Milton. And Rick at the time was going to class every Saturday. So
Mm.
he said, okay, I'll call over there so you can go in and interview. So I interviewed, and Milton pretty much said, well, let her put up a scene and we'll see.
And what was the interview? It was just like an audition, like a monologue or
I don't
something?
know. Just went in and just talked to the monitor and just, told him what my trajectory had been career wise and what my goals
Yeah.
were, and just literally like, who are you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I said,
Who are you?
I really want to study with Milton. I want to study with him.
Yeah.
Because, he had a studio where you would study with other people before you would actually study with him. And I said, no, I
Mm.
want to study directly with him. I'm not interested unless I'm studying with him. So they said, okay, well, let us talk to him. And so they said, okay, Milton said you can put up a scene. And after you put up the scene, he'll see if you can stay in the studio or not, study with him. So I said, great. And so I prepared a scene from Blood Wedding, Lorca. And
Mm-hmm.
I did dance. I danced in it. I did this. I choreographed this whole dance piece with my partner, my scene partner, and we put up
Wow.
the scene. And he was like, "Okay, you can stick around." And he really, he was on me. He was on me, and he really inspired me. To this day, I hear his voice in my head. Uh,
Uh-huh.
he really affected me as far as the work is concerned. So he was my biggest mentor, I would say, as far as acting.
Yeah. And how would you say, like you said, you would hear his voice? What were certain things that he would tell you that to push you, or?
Just like I'll be in a rehearsal, for example, and like I was just working on a role that took place in the South. It was very hot, and I was having a hard time, and I don't know, I just heard him going, "You got to go to a sauna. You got to go to." I run the lines in the sauna, you know.
Wow.
I looked at my partner and I said, "I think we need to go to a sauna and run these lines." Uh, just little things like that. Or sometimes I'll hear him, "Where's your moment before? You don't have your moment before? Where is it?"
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'll just hear him.
Yeah. And now you're always like, tuning your craft, right? Like what tell me the importance of like always staying in class no matter, how many movies you have under your belt, how many credits you have under your belt, like how is it that you always keep up your craft?
I learn. I mean, I love to learn, and I love to learn as much as I can, and I want to be really good at what I do. And so I want to. For me, knowledge is what helps you get there, or at least most
Yeah.
of it. And being in Milton's class and being around these actors that had done Broadway and had done, had won Emmys and Tonys and Academy Awards, and they're sitting in class with Milton, really taught me a lesson that, you have to keep working at your craft no matter what.
Yeah.
One example was James Cromwell. Um, a very well known actor. He'd been around for a long time, very established, award winning. And
Hmm.
he sat down with Milton, and Milton said, "What's going on?" And he said, "I have a very successful career. I'm very grateful, but I never get to be Romeo. I never get to be the guy. I
No.
want to be the guy."
Yeah.
And Milton was like, okay, well, let's work on that. And so she
Oh.
literally had him work on Romeo. And he's like, what? Me at my age working on Romeo? He's like, yeah, we're going to work on Romeo. And so he worked on playing Romeo. And one day he came to class after, a few sessions of working with Milton in class. And he said, hey, I have an announcement for you guys. I just booked my first Romeo role. I'm going to be playing the boyfriend in 6 Feet Under. And,
Wow.
and since then he's gotten tons of Romeos. He was in The Queen, playing the husband. And,
Mhm.
so that just taught me that, there's always room to grow. And as an actor, you can't do it by yourself. You need a scene partner and you need guidance and, you need people, you need a community of people,
Yeah.
to keep working on your craft. And so
Yeah.
you find someone you trust and you just keep working out.
Mhm. And how have you been able, I mean, like, I know you've been out here and so you've been working and so you've been able to meet a lot of people and, just develop a lot of relationships. How have you developed your, I guess, your like kind of inner circle community? Like you were saying earlier, just like people that if you're like, let's go, just pamper ourselves for the day to treat ourselves, like how have you found that for yourself?
I've just been really lucky, just working on set. Sometimes you just develop a special connection with someone. When I was working on Viva
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, I think it was episode, I don't even remember which episode number it was, but it was like halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Alejandro Patiño came in as a guest star for the day. And,
Yeah.
so he was there for the whole week with us because we would rehearse for 4 days and then shoot on the fifth. And he and I just clicked. We just,
Mm-hmm.
and then we kept running into each other at different social events and we were like, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Next thing we know, we're going out and getting something to eat together. Next thing we know, we're going out and seeing a play together and we're talking about the play afterwards and seeing that we're on the same page about what happened. Or sometimes we're not on the same page at all. We want to kill each other. But at least we like challenge each other artistically. And so we just, developed this rapport. And now all of these years later, we're like super good friends and we've done projects together. We've produced things together. So that's just kind of like how it's worked out. And that's just one example of many.
Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned producing. I know this is something that you have been dabbling in and are, I guess, maybe going to dab in even more with maybe your own projects. How do you feel like as the actor, right? You know, it just seems like we're in a time right now, especially like with social media and just like everything, just being at the grasp of your hands where you can just collaborate and create with your phone, you don't really need all these fancy stuff. How do you think that now is that something that you find yourself taking advantage of and wanting to use or is it something that can, I don't know, maybe distract you from just focusing on your craft?
Um, I've always liked, and I think too, just comes back to when I was a little girl and being the oldest of all these brothers and sisters. And so I literally would like choreograph, you know, to a song and I'd be like, okay, this is your guitar. And I would put my little brother like on one corner and you're going to sing and you're going to dance this. And okay, come here. I tell my little sister, you're going to do step touch, follow what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Next thing
yeah.
I know, we'd have like this whole production in the living room. And, and mainly it was, I really wanted to play and to play, I needed lots of
Mhm.
people to do it with. So I started just sort of
Mm.
orchestrating because I could see in my head how we could all come together and make something happen. And, like my senior year in high school, I took an independent study and I produced a show my senior year. I got like, I think 10 classmates and we did it and it was really successful. I still have like the VHS of it, if you can believe that. I need to really get that on my computer.
Yes, please.
And then in college, I did the same thing. I produced, Chicago and I played Velma Kelly. I always wanted to play
Wow, that's
Kelly, and I
amazing.
called Samuel French myself, and I was like, we're doing this educational run of the show at my school, and I want to do it. And so I got the rights to the music, and I got my voice teacher to come in and do the musical direction, and I brought in a director, and I choreographed the whole thing.
Wow.
And because I really wanted to play Velma Kelly, so I'm like, how do I make this happen? I want to play Velma Kelly.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Or I mean, I think that just goes to show you, right? Like if you want to do something, or if you see yourself in a role that no one's looking to cast you in, then make it happen,
yeah, and I
right?
think that's sort of like what got my producer, brain going on how to orchestrate and put
Mm,
people together. And so I've done it since then in other, plays and readings and so on and so forth. And now I'm just the
yeah.
past couple of years have started to, because I've done a couple of shorts. Now I'm going to be actually tackling like a feature film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. Um, I've and it's that you just sort of go, okay, I want to play this type of role, and there's this person and that person. Ooh, I like the way this person writes. Let me talk to them and see if they're interested. And you just sort of build it from there.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Um I think I want to ask one more thing. Um is there anything really like that I guess you would, when you first came out here to LA and you first were starting out, and all these years later now, like what is the advice that you would give yourself when you first came out here and that you first were like, "Oh, I'm coming, I'm hungry and I'm going?"
If I had to do it all over again,
Yeah, or yeah, that you can talk about that, or the advice you would give yourself then. Yeah.
hmm, you know, I don't have any regrets.
No, not in a
Yeah,
regret way, but like, like heads up, these are things you should look out for along the way, or heads up, like, you're gonna.
um, I don't know. That it's a hard one because I've always given 110%, and it hasn't always worked out in my favor. Most of the time, it hasn't, and that's really, really,
Mhm.
really painful. And so you go through
Yeah.
moments where you're just like, I'm done. That's it. Forget it. I'm getting my backpack and I'm going to Costa Rica by myself for a, you know. And
Yeah.
then you're like, well, that was a week of auditions that I missed out on if I hadn't freaked out. But sometimes you need those freakouts. And that week in Costa Rica was really valuable because I met some real,
Oh, you really went to
I
Costa
really did
Rica?
that. Yeah.
Oh.
And I jumped off a
I was like,
cliff.
oh, that's good. No, no, you were serious.
Yeah,
Okay.
I climbed up a waterfall and I jumped off a cliff. Um,
Oh,
I have the
wow.
video on YouTube to prove it. Um, so
We're gonna
you
post that.
that life experience was really really valuable. So
Yeah.
I think the main thing that I would tell myself is to be patient. I'm really really hard on myself. I beat myself up a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this one tiny little thing? And I don't celebrate the other 9 things that I did. I beat myself about the 10th thing that I didn't do or that I didn't come to
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Perfectionist.
I think I would just, yeah, say that, like, just be kinder to myself and be patient
Mm.
and know that it's a process and you just have to enjoy the journey, that the journey is what you enjoy, not necessarily the outcome, you know?
Mm.
I remember more the struggle that I had to go through to get a role than actually playing the role, you know?
Wow.
So yeah, I think that would be the main thing that I would tell myself, to be kinder. Um,
Yeah.
and I could still tell myself that today. Um,
I think
so
we could all tell ourselves that,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that would be the main thing.
and shamelessly promote yourself, anything and everything.
It's pretty much my whole name. So at Jossara Jinaro, I have a fan page on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. Um, what else am I on? Google. um, at YouTube, I'm on YouTube as well. You can see me jumping off a cliff on YouTube.
All right. How was that conversation with Jossara Jinaro? If you want to know more information, you can check her out on IMDb at imdb.me, Jossara Jinaro. She also has a fan page, Jossara Jinaro fan page on Facebook, Twitter at Jossara Jinaro, and also on Instagram, Jossara Jinaro. And that's Jossara, Jossara Jinara. Oh, I'm sorry, Aro. All right, just follow the show notes, guys. Just come on. Just open it up and just you can click the links. All right, it's easy. Also, she has a YouTube channel where she has all her reels, her commercials, all her interviews and everything. So check her out on YouTube. Link below. And also, if you did listen to the full interview, you'll know about the Costa Rica jumping off the cliff, and I did put the link down below. So make sure to check that out for some inspiration because sometimes you just gotta jump, baby. All right, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.